Welcome to Deep Dive Stories, where we explore the world's most intriguing mysteries. For decades, the Bermuda Triangle has served as the global shorthand for maritime terror, a vast, silent section of the Atlantic swallowing ships and planes without explanation. But if you shift your gaze to the western rim of the Pacific, you find its much older, just as unsettling counterpart, the Devil's Sea.
Also known as the Dragon's Triangle, or in Japan, Mono-umi.
Which means the Sea of Troubles.
No, or the Dangerous Sea. And we're talking about a stretch of ocean steeped in some really ancient legend, yet it's responsible for some frighteningly modern disappearances.
And what's so striking as you start to look into this is the location.
It's the sheer proximity, isn't it? This supposedly paranormal zone is located just south of Tokyo near Miyake Island. It's surprisingly close, roughly 100 kilometers, or about 60 miles, away from the largest city in the world.
Now, that's unnerving. To think that the same waters that carry modern cargo traffic could also be the site of centuries of these unexplained vanishings.
It creates a powerful juxtaposition, modern navigation right up against these ancient fears. Now, it's critical to note up front that the exact perimeter of this Dragon's Triangle is, well, it's fluid.
It's not a line on a map.
Exactly. Unlike a political border, its edges are loosely mapped by maritime fear. And that means the count of incidents varies dramatically depending on who you ask or which book you're reading.
So our mission today is to dive into the history of these maritime disasters, explore the legends, and, most importantly, try to separate the chilling myth from the cold, hard scientific facts.
Okay, let's unpack this.
So to really get the power of this legend, we have to go way back.
You do, and we have to start with the name itself. Ma-no-umi, the Devil's Sea, was a term that Japanese sailors used historically for any number of treacherous marine locations.
So it wasn't just this one spot?
Not originally, no. It was for any place where charts were poor and, things could go wrong easily.
Right.
But this particular area became synonymous with disaster because of events that predate modern ships entirely.
And this is where we get to the most dramatic, the most famous historical account. We're going all the way back to 1274 AD.
We are. To one of the largest invasion fleets in history, Kublai Khan's attempt to conquer Japan.
The scale was just staggering.
It really was. Kublai Khan, the ruler of the Mongol Empire, launched these massive fleets with an estimated 40,000 crew members.
40,000.
In two separate campaigns. And in both instances, these enormous fleets were just utterly destroyed.
And not in battle, that's the key. They weren't defeated by Japanese forces.
No, they were simply annihilated by what witnesses described as these unnatural, sudden typhoons that just materialized out of nowhere and swallowed nearly every single vessel.
The destruction was so complete that the Japanese saw it as divine intervention.
Right. They believed they were protected by powerful storm gods. They called these winds Kami no Kaze, the divine wind.
Which is the origin of the term kamikaze.
Exactly. So the idea that this sea was protected, that it was actively hostile to invaders, was cemented right there, 7 centuries ago.
And that fear then bleeds into local mythology.
It does. You start hearing these tales of powerful sea dragons dwelling right beneath the surface.
And they were blamed for everything.
Pretty much. The legends say these dragons were responsible for stirring up violent currents, creating sudden water spouts, and conjuring these rogue waves that could swallow a ship whole.
And sailors in the 1800s were still reporting things.
Oh yeah, they kept these supernatural fears alive. They reported seeing ghost ships and other strange phenomena like patches of the ocean wildly bubbling or even glowing faintly at night.
Which leads us to the more pseudoscientific theories, like the vile vortex.
Right. That's the theory from Ivan T. Sanderson, the Scottish biologist. He looked at the Bermuda Triangle, the Dragon's Triangle, and 10 other similar spots around the globe.
And he claimed they weren't random.
Not at all. He theorized they all fell along a specific diamond grid pattern stretching across the equator. He believed these 12 points were dangerous because of high electromagnetic anomalies.
Caused by what, exactly?
The mix of hot and cold water currents. He argued it compromised navigation equipment, making compasses totally unreliable. It's a very neat, almost geometric explanation for all this chaos.
But the Dragon's Triangle really became famous in the modern era. Not because of myth, but because of a devastating series of incidents right after World War II.
Absolutely. That's when the incidents started accumulating in rapid succession, launching the modern legend into the newspapers.
We're talking about a very short, very frightening period between 1952 and 1954.
When multiple vessels just vanished in the area. And the most sensational case, the one that really became the definitive modern mystery, was the research ship, the Kayo Maru No. 5.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting. Because of all those other losses, the Japanese government decided they needed scientific answers.
Right.
So they dispatched the Kayo Maru No. 5 in 1952 specifically to investigate these disappearances. This was meant to be the ship that solved the mystery.
And instead, it became its most tragic example. The vessel left port with 31 crew members and scientists.
All dedicated to figuring this out.
And it was lost shortly after. Now, decades later, this incident was seized upon by writers like Charles Berlitz. He claimed the vessel vanished without a trace in perfect weather, a classic supernatural abduction.
But the wreckage was found, wasn't it? So why did the myth persist that it just disappeared?
That's the gap between fact and fear. The wreckage was found, which immediately contradicts that clean disappearance story. But the circumstances were so violent, so horrific, that it fueled a different kind of fear.
The fear of a sudden, overwhelming natural force.
Exactly. The loss was so high profile that Japanese authorities did label the region a special, though temporary, danger zone.
And while a lot of these stories involve smaller fishing boats, this region has claimed massive modern ships too. We have to talk about the MV Derbyshire in 1980.
The Derbyshire case it's a crucial piece of the puzzle. It cuts straight through the supernatural stuff and offers a painful lesson in engineering.
This was a huge ship.
One of Britain's largest, a 91,000-ton ore carrier. It disappeared near Japan after sending a distress signal during a powerful typhoon. And for years, the mystery persisted, because it seemed to have vanished completely.
Until 1994.
Until 1994, when the wreckage was finally located at a depth of over 4,000 meters, and the forensic investigation was exhaustive. It concluded, definitively, that the ship suffered a catastrophic structural failure.
Caused by the storm itself.
Caused by the sheer violence of the storm. The investigation showed that the hatch covers, these massive doors protecting the cargo holds, were breached by immense rogue waves.
So water got in.
And once that began, the hull integrity was fatally compromised. The ship didn't sink because of an anomaly. It was overwhelmed by forces that exceeded its design limits. That tragedy, rather than being a paranormal mystery, directly led to huge changes in ship design regulations.
So a story of science improving safety, not sea dragons.
Exactly.
And that knowledge just shifts our entire perspective. We move from ghost stories to the raw, unknown, yet terrifying forces that shape the Pacific.
And the primary reason this section of the ocean is so volatile is its geology. The Devil's Sea lies squarely within the Pacific Ring of Fire,
which is just a hotbed of seismic activity.
A vast horseshoe-shaped area with constant earthquakes and active volcanoes. And this provides a very clear scientific explanation for the fate of the Kayo Maru No. 5, despite all the myths.
Right. So what actually happened to that research vessel?
Its loss was definitively traced to an eruption of an undersea volcano, Mujinshu. The ship was investigating a newly formed island, which is a common event there, and was tragically positioned directly over the crater when it violently erupted.
It sounds less like a sinking and more like an attack.
That's how the reports read. Witnesses described what they called volcanic missiles, rocks and debris hurled skyward, basically shelling the ship. When you realize this region is so active that small islands appear and disappear all the time, the loss of a ship becomes a matter of terrible timing, not an anomaly.
But the Ring of Fire isn't the only invisible danger here. We have to talk about the chemical mechanism that offers an explanation for those instantaneous clean disappearances.
Methane hydrate.
Methane hydrates.
Yeah.
The thing that fueled both the Bermuda and Devil's Sea legends.
It's arguably the most compelling scientific explanation for a ship vanishing without a distress signal. To explain them, you have to imagine methane gas trapped inside a rigid, crystal-like structure of water ice.
So natural gas locked in oceanic ice crystals on the seabed.
Correct. And they stay stable down there under immense pressure and low temperatures. But if a geological event like an earthquake destabilizes them,
They break apart.
they rapidly decompose.
Yeah.
The solid ice instantly converts to gas, releasing these massive plumes of methane bubbles that just rocket toward the surface.
And what happens when a ship sails over one of these plumes? How does gas from the seabed suddenly sink a massive vessel?
It's a terrifying process. Water density is what keeps a ship afloat. As the methane bubbles rise through the water, they drastically reduce the overall density of the water above the plume. It essentially turns the water into a frothy, fizzing mixture.
Almost like sailing into a patch of carbonated soda.
That's a perfect analogy. The ship loses nearly all hydrostatic lift within seconds. It doesn't slowly list or take on water. It essentially falls through that fizzy mixture and sinks instantly.
With no time for a distress call.
No time for anything. It explains the clean disappearance better than almost any other natural force.
And beyond all that, you just have the basic, brutal mechanics of the ocean itself. Natural maelstroms, enormous whirlpools.
And the chaotic influx of the warm Kuroshio current hitting cold subarctic currents. That creates massive turbulence and compromises everything. It even explains the older legends of compass failure.
Because the fluctuating magnetic readings could mess with early navigation tools.
Easily. It all adds up to a perfect storm of environmental hazards.
So given all this hard evidence, geology, volcanism, ocean chemistry, why did the supernatural narrative take such a firm hold in the modern era?
Because initially the storytellers were better than the scientists. And if you want to understand the creation of these modern myths, you have to look at skeptics like Larry Kusch,
who famously debunked the Bermuda Triangle.
He applied the same forensic rigor to the Dragon's Triangle, and he argued the mystery was severely exaggerated by writers who prioritized a good story over statistical reality.
So he went to the official records.
Directly to the Japanese government. And his findings were crucial. He noted that the reported incidents, the mysterious vanishings, actually fell within the statistically expected rate of loss for a massive, heavily trafficked area known for typhoons and volcanoes.
So the 9 ships lost over 5 years that a writer like Charles Berlitz might use, that's actually an ordinary number for an area that large.
Exactly. When you factor in the sheer volume of traffic and the volatility of the weather, the disappearance rate is completely proportional to any other dangerous body of water.
And Kusha found the facts were embellished.
Constantly. Like claiming 100 personnel were lost on the research vessel when the true count was 31. Or routinely ignoring a documented typhoon that was raging at the time of the loss.
And what about the Japanese government? Did they ever officially recognize this whole Devil's Sea danger zone?
No, that's another key point. They didn't. They only issued risk warnings specifically targeting volcanic activity within about 10 miles of Michinshu. They were targeting a specific geological threat, not some vague supernatural one.
So the current consensus is clear.
It is, and it mirrors the conclusions about the Bermuda Triangle. The so-called mystery can almost entirely be explained by a convergence of overwhelming environmental factors, combined with equipment failure and human error.
So what we have is a history where these genuine, devastating natural hazards, volcanoes, methane gas, they become amplified and pathologized, especially when a high-profile loss, like that research ship, happens in a place already steeped in ancient stories of dragons and divine wind.
Precisely. The Devil's Sea stands as this remarkable synthesis. Dramatic geology from the Ring of Fire, powerful chemistry in the form of methane hydrates, and captivating ancient folklore. It's a compelling natural phenomenon that we, as humans, find easier to label a mystery than to accept its raw, chaotic reality.
So what does this all mean? Let's consider those methane hydrates again. Scientists study the decay of these specific clathrates in this region to understand geological processes spanning over 20,000 years. If the planet operates on a timescale that vast, cyclically creating and destroying islands and causing monumental disasters, what does that say about the human perspective, where we perceive these immense forces as isolated, modern mysteries, rather than just business as usual for the planet beneath our feet?
It's a powerful reminder that the terrifying forces of nature often operate completely outside the scale of our immediate comprehension.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, follow and subscribe for more mysteries every week.